Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today we are presenting the topic entitled The Importance of Learning Islamic Legal Maxim. So these are the topic we are going to cover in this presentation. So firstly is the introduction and then the application of Islamic legal maxim in Islamic law, Islamic finance and banking, Islamic medical ethics, in respect of the imitation or also known as al-tashabbuh, and lastly conclusion. Okay, so we are going to start with the introduction. The word al-qawaid is the plural of al-qaidah, which means principles, while fiqh means Islamic law. So legal maxims, also known as al-qawaid al-fiqhiyyah, means the principle of fiqh, Islamic law, which can be applied in different fields of fiqh that come under the common rulings. As we look at the diagram in the right side, so there are 5 elements in Qawaid Fiqhiyyah, also known as legal maxims. Number 1 is al-umur bimaqasidiha, acts are judged by their goals and purpose. Secondly, al-'ada muhakkama, custom is basis of the judgment. Next, al-mushaqqat tajlib at-taysir, hardship begets facility. Other than that, al-yakin la yuzal bishak, certainty is not to be overruled by the doubt. And lastly, al-darar yuzal, harm must be eliminated.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First, we go to the first point is Islamic law. Okay, we go to the first point is al-umur bi makasadiha. It means all matter depends on the meaning. Okay, first, this rule emphasizes the importance of intention in doing all matters. If the intention is good, then the result will be good as well. Okay, from this I got that the intention is divided into two. Okay. First, the way directed towards an action and the directed of the way towards the action of any human being. Okay, narrated by Umar radhiyallahu anhu, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "The deeds are just by intention, and every person is just according to his intention." Okay. However, in this matter, any act that against Islamic law is still forbidden, even though it have a good intention. Okay, like this it said, good intention does not change the nature of bad intention. For example, a man is stealing something, but he have his intention was to give the stolen object as a money or the charity. Okay. Okay, and then we go to the next slide is al-'adatu muhakkamah, traditional, custom or strictened. Okay, we go to the first point is custom in the practice of the people, whether in their doing or in their saying, regardless of whether it is the general practice of the people or the practice of certain group of people. This practice has the authority and can specify a general matter or restrict an unrestricted matter. Okay, for example, if a contract does not specify whether the debit of the goods is the responsibility of the purchaser or the retailer. In this case, the prevailing custom should be depended upon to specify and clarify this matter which is not cited in the contract. Okay, for example of the application of this maxim, okay, the practice of the people in certain place to divide the dowry in marriage contract into two types. The first is dowry paid when the contract is concluded, and second is the dowry paid at a later period of time. Okay, then I will pass to the next presenter to continue.
I will start with the application of learning Islamic legal maxim in Islamic finance and banking. Learning Islamic legal maxim is very important, especially in Islamic finance and banking, as it will help to develop the parameters of Islamic banking. Firstly, al-umur bimaqasidiha, matters are determined according to the intention. So every human action will be judged based on his or her intention. It means that good intention can lead to the right thing, and a bad intention will cause harm and impact to others. So example that relate in our life, imposition of ta'awid on a defaulting bank customer who has refused to pay his obligation to the bank, either intentionally or negligently. So because of the lack of proper mechanism to resolve the problems of default, also it can cause the moral hazard on the part of the customer who may purposefully delay the payment. As a result, the imposition of ta'wid is permitted to prevent the customer from intentionally defaulting. So next is al-mushaqqa tajlib at-taysir, hardship begets facility. Islamic law is built upon achieving ease and not upon imposing hardship. It means that whenever difficulties present, the law makes provisions to facilitate the matters. Example, in a lease or ijara agreement of a ship, when a person later discovered that the goods he wanted to send by the ship could not be delivered due to some reasons, he is permitted to cancel the lease. Because of what? Because forcing him to pay the lease without occupying the ship will be hardship to that person. As a result, he may be allowed to cancel under the legal maxim to avoid the hardship in this specific situation. Next, I will pass to the next presenter.
Islamic medical ethics. Medicine is very important in all human beings because this is shown one of the 5 aspects in Dariyat, which is hifzu amnas, protection of life, that Sharia aims to achieve. So, Islamic medical ethics refers to Islamic guidance relates with medical and mostly about dealing with human life. Therefore, in this context, we divide it by 2 categories, which is al-umur bimaqasidiha, matters are determined with the intention, and al-dara al-juzal, harm must be eliminated. Moving on to the next slide, al-umur bimaqasidiha, matters determined according to the intention. Under this legal maxim, all deeds are judged according to their goals and purpose. So that's why niyat is very important in every act of Islam. There is one hadith, a famous hadith from the Prophet said, deeds are judged on the basis of intention. So an action that seems good but done with a bad intention, automatically it will lead a punish from the God. This is very important for the law to make an appropriate decision in some situation because it refers to the niyat itself. For example, organ transplantation is performed as a final stage to save patient's life. In other words, organ transplantation is carried out in a critical condition because of that patient's life are dependently greatly on that organ. So organ transplantation is not performed with the intention of agonizing the disease or worsening the disease. However, it's to save people's life. Next categories is al-darar yuzal, harm must be eliminated. This is to help regulate human actions so that it is harmless and does not threaten humans' life. In recent time, juries work very hard in extracting the legal regarding to the medical issues as it becomes more complicated in the contemporary. So, they appear to become one of the most important person for the Muslim communities in solving the problem regarding to the particular issues. So in the medicine, there is 4 foundational, which is respect for the autonomy, no bring threats, beneficiaries, and justice. For example, COVID-19 pandemic, as you know, this virus has spread around the globe and it has killed more than 10 million people, and it still goes on every day. The comment of hard elimination of this matter is obligatory, wajib. Also, any deliberate or intentional activities which spread this virus is prohibited, haram. Therefore, it requires prevents, eliminates, minimize the haram or its consequence regardless yourself or the community. Next, I will pass to the next presenter.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'm going to be continuing on with respect of imitation, or we call it as tashabbuh. Okay, so before I begin, I'm going to talk about tashabbuh, right? So the issue of prohibited imitation among Muslims of other non-Muslims, or the term is that is tashabbuh basically. It is a dynamic social phenomenon. It is developing in line with the social cultural variations of society. The status quo of tashabbuh can be traced way back in the olden days, even in the Malay culture in Malaysia. The influence of globalization also contributes to the practices of that resembles other races. Okay, so out of the 5 legal maxims of Qawaid Fiqhiyyah, I'm gonna be telling you guys about 3. So number 1, acts are judged by their goals and purpose. This method is basically implies that an act does not count as tashabbuh as long as it is not accompanied by any other goals. Examples of this is someone wearing black clothes with no intentions of mourning the death of a non-Muslim, and 2, Muslim women wearing a hijab, which resembles a nun wearing a veil. Okay, the second legal maxim here is hardship begets facility. Any difficulty or hardship that one has towards something is usually accompanied by ease. Examples of this is Muslim travelers who are traveling far from home could perform their prayers in another way, which is combining the 2 prayer times into one. Or as you know, in Malaysia we would call it salat jamak and qasar. If they are in pain, they can perform tayammum instead of ablution. And if they are fasting, like for another example, they are fasting, they are allowed to break the fast and eat the medications needed if they're sick. Okay, so the last of the 3 that I'll be presenting today. Number 3, harm must be eliminated. Harm may neither be inflicted nor reciprocated in Islam. Islam is a religion that opens the space of benefit and closes the space of harm to human beings. Here, the example here is eating unslaughtered animals. Basically, this implies like when you're in a life or death situation where you cannot find anything to eat except for that unslaughtered animal, you are permitted to eat, but with the exception that you're not eating up until you're full, but you're eating up until you feel like you can survive for the night. And that is it from me. I will pass on to the next presenter.
Last but not least is the conclusion. Okay, basically Qawaid Fiqhiyyah of fiqh rules serve as the parameter of fiqh formation in the contemporary Islamic law. In order to have a legal power and to be held accordingly to Nas, thus the fiqh can be applied in our everyday life. In detail, Qawaid Fiqhiyyah is a collection of guidance that contains the value that should be the base foundation of the formation of Islamic law. Therefore, the Qawaid Fiqhiyyah can be grouped into the 5 main rules of Islamic law. That's all from us. Thank you for listening.